One of the most important functions of the brain is memory. The brain helps us to receive information, stores this information, and also helps us to retrieve them or recall them whenever we require. So, if you have been experiencing memory loss or you easily forget what you learn, then this video will be of great help to you. And also in this video, you are going to learn simple techniques and ways of improving your memory. And you'll also discover loopholes to avoid while learning. Welcome to Nursing Tutorials with Joel. And in this video today, I'll be sharing with you the 8 laws of memory retention. The 8 laws of memory retention. The first law we'll be looking at today is the law of motivation. Wow. Motivation plays a key role in any form of learning, and it helps us to remember things easily. The more motivated you are towards a particular thing, the more you remember it. So it is important that you develop a high and intense interest in whatsoever you desire to learn. This is because it has been discovered that informations with high benefits are found to be retained more easily as compared to informations with low benefit. For example, if I am learning something and there is a high financial benefit to it, that is, I know that I'm going to get great financial benefits from this thing, definitely I'll put more interest in that thing. If I also discover that this particular thing is going to help me in achieving my dreams, achieving my goals, my visions, my aspirations, I'm going to do more in learning that thing. So I want you today to find and trace out your motivation for that particular thing you are learning. So go and find out that motivation, find out why you are learning that thing, and you discover that when you have discovered a good motivation that it's of high interest to you, you will discover that you're learning these things easily and simply. And when it's time to recollect, you don't have any problem doing that. This leads us to the next law, the law of concentration. Concentration is a valuable thinking tool. The more you concentrate on a particular thing, the more you retain it easily. By way of definition, concentration is defined as the process of gathering and focusing all your efforts, all your attention, your mind into that particular thing you want to learn without any form of distractions. Now, distractions is found to suffocate learning. Distractions suffocate concentration. And there are different types of distractions. There is the internal distractions and there are the external distractions. Talking about the internal distractions, we talk about worries, fears, anxiety. Take for example a student who is learning a particular course or reading a particular information with examination as a priority. Will find it difficult to remember it after so many days, after so many months. Why? Because examination was the focus, and when examination is done, the person is done with that. So while learning, remove your mind from any form of anxiety. Oh, I'm anxious to get the exam done, I need to get this thing done. Take away those anxiety and relax your mind, and you discover that you begin to learn things and you retain them easily. So concentration matters a lot. So what I want you to do is to identify your distractions while learning, and please eliminate those distractions, and you see yourself remembering things easily. That leads us to the next point, which is organization. Learning under disorganization leads to poor retention. When you are learning and things are scattered, things you learn just in a haphazard manner, you discover that you poorly retain those things. And when it's time to remember, you can't remember them. Why? Because you learned under a disorganized atmosphere. So, organization is the process of arranging things, arranging information according to the order of priority or according to the level of importance. You pick the informations you want to learn, you arrange them from the start to the finish. Start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go like that without any form of disorganization. So I want you to go ahead, classify that thing you want to learn into groups, into sets, into any form of classification that is best suitable to you. And you discover that you are able to help your brain to organize this information in sets and in order. And before you know, when it's time to retrieve it, the brain finds it easy for you to retrieve those things. So please get organized while learning. That takes us to another point, very, very vital point, which is comprehension. The more you understand what is to be learned, the more you find it easy to retain this information and to retrieve it when you need it. So break things down into fragments. If there's a difficult word, there's a difficult term, try and break it down into suitable and simpler ways, simpler terms that is easy for you to understand. This is where the dictionary comes handy. And this is where meeting someone who is an expert or who understands that particular thing you want to learn is very, very, very important, because that person or the dictionary will better explain and make things easier for you to learn. So while learning, make sure you have good comprehension of that thing you want to learn and you see yourself remembering it easily when time comes. Now the next point, which is the law of association. In association, you link things that you want to learn with things that you are familiar with in the past. So when we talk about association, you are connecting the particular thing you want to learn, you connect it with something that you've already learned that is similar to this thing in the past. Now, for example, in terms of learning a new language, since I am good at English, whatever I want to learn, I try to link it with the words I know in English. And you discover that through that association, you are able to remember it faster and easier. Another way of applying this law is in terms of remembering a person. You meet a person, you discover that the person's name is Frank, and you discover that this person, wow, is a straightforward person. The person is frank in his statements, frank in whatsoever he do. You say, wow, okay, I can remember this person by his behavior. Why? Because the person's name is Frank, and truly the person is a frank person. Another way of remembering this is associating that person's name maybe with a place. You say, okay, I remember this person's name because this is where I saw this person. Now, however, this law does not apply in most cases, especially in naming a person. For example, our popular sportsman Tiger Woods. Don't make the mistake of saying, okay, Tiger Woods, okay, he behaves like a tiger, or he's living in the woods. No, please don't go that area. So it's only applicable where there is something familiar with this new thing you are learning. And if you can do that, discover that you are aiding yourself in learning things easier. That takes us to the next point, which is the law of visualization. In visualization, you create a mental image of what is to be learned. This process is also called mental imagery. So you look at a diagram, at a picture, or you look at a process of doing a particular thing, especially when you are learning a skill, or you look at some sentences and you create an image out of that sentences, and you close your eyes and you begin to imagine these things you've seen or what you've read. You begin to imagine it. With that, you are going to strengthen your memory base of that particular thing you are learning. So it's very, very simple. One of the most simple laws of learning, of remembering things. All you just need to do is to picture what you want to learn or remember. Look at it in your brain, close your eyes, look at it in your brain, and take time to examine it. Okay, it goes like this, it goes like this. Okay, look at this. With that, you are taking a mental picture, and when it is time to retrieve it, all you need to do is you might close your eyes, you might not even close your eyes, just discover that you start remembering these pictures. Very, very, very simple and easier. You can also make pictures out of words, especially sentences that are descriptive. You can also make, or narrative, you can make something out of that. So use this law of visualization where necessary and discover that you remember things easily. Now the next law, which is the law of education. It has been discovered that learners who teach or are expectant that they will teach a particular thing retain information more strongly, more effectively than someone who does not have the desire to teach at all. Take for example, a student who prepares for a test. The student might take the test seriously and at the same time may not take the test seriously. But when the student is preparing for either a presentation and the person knows that the whole class will be watching me while I'm speaking, you discover that the person takes more time to really prepare well, to really master what he or she wants to present. And when it's time to recollect, you discover that he or she is remembering very fast. So go and look for someone to teach that thing you want to remember. It could be a language, it could be a skill, it could be a technique, it could be an information. Look for someone that can listen to you and teach that person. The more you teach, the more you strengthen the memory base of that particular information or data. And with this, you discover that you are able to, over time, to recollect. You are able to remember what you've learned. Why? Because you've taught others and you are now a master in that particular thing. Finally, we'll deal with the law of repetition. This law is the most intuitive law of all, and is a law you can apply even to other laws, and you can apply it in every situation. This law of repetition, it strengthens understanding. It strengthens what you've learned. It gives weight to the information that you've acquired in your brain. It gives weight to it. And the more you repeat a particular thing, the more you could even understand it. Because repetition gives clarity and stability to information you've learned. So take time to repeat a particular information. Take time to repeat it after 1 hour, after 24 hours, after a day, after weeks, after months, and you discover that this thing has mass. In fact, it's so strong in your memory. Why? Because over time you have repeated this particular information over and over again. That goes also to skill, learning a new skill. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the more you become a master in it. And with that, in fact, I discovered that there is no amount of repetition that is okay. Repeat as much as possible and you see yourself going to the top. These are the 8 laws of learning. Now, in summary, I want you to get a motivation for that thing you want to learn. Not just a motivation, concentrate on it. Also, organize the information you want to learn into an orderly manner that will make your brain easy for assimilation. And that leads us to comprehension. Make sure you understand what you want to learn. Not just that, where applicable, visualize what you want to learn. Associate it to things that you've been familiar with in the past. Then also teach somebody, very, very importantly. Look for someone to teach. Look for someone that will listen to you. Teach that person. With that, you are going to find out corrections to be made, things you have not mastered. You will have access yourself with that. And finally, repeat it over and over again and see yourself remembering just anything you want to remember in this life. Thanks for watching and stay safe. Remember, if you've not subscribed, do subscribe for more educational videos. Thank you once again.